Hey guys, it's Melanie. Welcome back. I hope your day is off to a fantastic start. It's another candle review day here on my channel. And what that means if you are new is that I am going to be sharing either 2 or 3 in-depth fragrance reviews for, well, we're talking about holiday candles. So we're gonna be diving into the holiday side of things at this point over here. But yeah, this is just an opportunity for me to do these in-depth reviews where I talk about the fragrance, the notes, what I actually smell, strength and throw, overall burn quality, and essentially any issues that may have potentially come up during the burn process. Typically, I like to let my candles burn to at least the halfway point before I review them. Usually most candles do pretty well for the first couple of burns, but there are issues that can develop as you go down a little bit further. So I just personally prefer to, burn them a little bit longer prior to reviewing them. And then also I like to do updates as I get further into these candles on my weekly home fragrance roundup. So if you are not subscribed yet and you are interested in more of this in-depth home fragrance information, definitely make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you'll be notified of all of my content as soon as it goes live here on my channel. So we're getting into the holiday candles, guys. I know it seems a little bit soon with Halloween not even having taken place yet. But we're pretty close to November at this point, and I know most people are starting to think about the transition from fall to holiday candles. And my goal is to get these reviews up in a timely manner so that if you happen to be interested in any of these, you can make an informed decision about whether you want to pick them up based on my experience and obviously based on the experience of any other reviews that you might be seeking out. In full disclosure, I was sent this candle that I'm reviewing for you today from Kringle. I always appreciate when they send PR my way. I am an affiliate or an ambassador with them. So I will put a link to where you can purchase this candle as well as my discount code in the description box. That code will save you 15%, but as always, you can also use your rewards as well. So obviously, happy shopping if you choose to partake, but there is never any pressure for me. So we're gonna start with Country Candle. And I have to say, these first couple of candles that I'm going to be reviewing from Kringle have been just a little bit of a disappointment this year. I'm not sure if the issue is on my end with the conditions changing in my home here, or if there just something went wrong with the production or what, but I will make you guys aware of my experiences, and that way, you can make sure that you are making the best decision for yourself. So the first one that we're going to review is the Country Candle Cran Apple Toddy. These are actually on sale already, which is kind of surprising because typically holiday candles, or actually any new candles that are released, they typically don't go on sale for a little while after the initial launch. So I'm kind of surprised by that, but definitely a good thing for everybody that wants to save a little bit more money on these. So let's start with the scent description. We'll get into the strength and the throw. We'll talk overall burn quality, and then, I'll just kind of summarize my thoughts on this one here. Cran Apple Toddy. Bright and tangy red cranberries adorn a sweet medley of crisp gala apple and tart currants swirled with glowing hints of ambered honey. The top notes are apple and berry. The mid notes are currant and fruit, just kind of generic fruit. And then the base is sweet and amber. So what do I detect in this fragrance? I feel like this is one where it smells very similar from cold sniff to when you finally do eventually light it up. There are some candles that really transform from cold sniff to post burn. So this is not one of those cases. Essentially what you smell when you first stick your nose in this, when you receive this candle, it's what you smell when it's actually burning. So there is a really nice tart cranberry note in here. And I would say that that's the first thing that my nose detects in this fragrance. There is a delicious kind of crisp, juicy apple note. I mean, gala apple is probably a great description for it. I enjoy a gala apple, that's for sure. So I do think you definitely notice that crisp apple note in here. There's currants in here as well. Admittedly, I'm not a huge fan of currant myself. And in this particular fragrance, I'm not like crazy offended by it because it is more of like a hint of currant, but I'm kind of a bloodhound when it comes to that specific note, and I definitely seek it out whenever I smell it in home fragrance. So I probably tend to focus on it a little bit more, but if you're a big fan of that really tart, tangy red currant note, you're definitely going to notice it in here. So, you know, if that floats your boat, you're gonna get a decent dose of it in here, but again, it's not the main focus. I think there's much more focus here on the cranberry and the apple note. There is a definite sweetness to this fragrance. It's not cloying, but it is quite sweet. So if you tend to avoid sweeter fragrances, I know there's a lot of people out there who just are not into that. So if you tend to want to avoid those types of fragrances, I would probably say skip over this one because it does have a good amount of sweetness to it. I do think that there is some amber that is detectable in here. It still makes sense within this more fruity, almost like edible, or I guess you could say drinkable concoction here. It just adds a little bit of depth to the fragrance. So it's not that full on like amber, like perfumey amber note. It's a little more subtle than that. And I feel like, again, it just kind of boosts the depth of all of the other fragrance notes overall. But I would say that this is probably pretty straightforward. I think that most people could probably imagine what this smells like. I will say, I think there's also a little bit of a spice to this as well. I think the spice that I'm detecting is just a hint of like a cinnamon. It's not listed in the fragrance notes, but I definitely feel like that is present in this fragrance to my nose. Overall, this isn't my favorite fragrance from the Holiday Country Candle collection. I will definitely admit that. But I do think it is somewhat enjoyable. For me, I think the red currant kind of ruins it, but if you don't have beef with red currant, you're gonna be just fine with this one if all of the other fragrance notes appeal to you. Strength and throw. All right, you guys, let's get into it here. The first couple of candles that I burned from the Country Candle line, I started with this and the Fireside Chai. I definitely noticed that they were a little bit lighter than what I was used to in terms of the usual strength and throw performance from Country Candle. I would say the strength of this one at best is probably around a 5. And another thing that I've noticed is that the first two don't seem to throw as far either. So they have trouble kind of traveling, which I imagine might have to do with the diminished overall strength of the fragrance. So I do think that it does definitely fill a room, but it doesn't fill a room with like intense amounts of fragrance, if that makes sense. I am personally someone who prefers the strength of her candles to be at least somewhere around a 7. My most ideal personally would probably be an 8 or a 9 in terms of strength. I like very potent home fragrance. I don't have any sensitivities when it comes to smells. Obviously, I wouldn't be, doing candle reviews if I did. So I tend to like a little bit more oomph for my candles. And this one here is just surprisingly light compared to what I usually experience, even from the Country Candle line, which for me always tends to be slightly lighter than the Kringle Classic jars. So that is a little bit disappointing, but also I don't know that I would consider it too terribly disappointing myself, only because this isn't the fragrance that really, you know, rocks my world from the collection, if you will. I think it's nice enough, but like I said, not being a fan of red currant to begin with, this is probably an easy skip for me in terms of repurchasing. I do think there are people out there who will enjoy this fragrance in the strength and throw format that it seems to be in right now, at least based on this one that was sent to me. You know, not everybody wants their fragrances to, you know, completely overpower the entire house. So if you like a slightly more subtle approach to your home fragrance, you know, this might be worth considering for you. Now, when it comes to the overall burn quality, I have not had any issues with the wicks. I have not had any issues with the wax discoloring. I have not had any issues with sooting or anything like that. In fact, I would say the burn quality is pretty decent on these. I'm very particular about candles becoming sooty or discolored. I think oftentimes when the carbon residue falls from the wicks into the wax and it starts to discolor that wax, it really can affect the fragrance. I did not notice that in this, you know, up until obviously the halfway point here. So it's burning good in that regard. I just think that most people who typically, you know, expect a similar strength and throw from what I do from Country Candle might be disappointed in the strength and throw here. And I want to be abundantly clear and honest about that because I don't ever want anyone to be disappointed. Everybody's experience is going to be a little bit unique because everybody's home is a little bit different. I live in a early 2000s, slightly more open concept, very high ceiling home. So sometimes it can be difficult for certain fragrances to really, you know, produce a lot of fragrance. So there's that to consider. If you live in an older style of home where maybe the rooms are a little bit more enclosed, this one might do just well for you. So, or, you know, much better obviously than maybe it's doing for me here. So I don't want to entirely trash this one, but overall I wasn't terribly impressed by this one. The fragrance notes, you know, while I like some of them, the addition of the currant is not my thing, and then the strength and the throw are a little bit light for my personal liking. All that being said, if you are a fan of these apple and cranberry fragrances, this might be worth checking out maybe in their wax melt format. I am definitely going to be ordering some wax melts from the holiday collection once they are available. I'm not sure if they are already, but I would definitely consider purchasing the wax melts to test those out because typically I have a pretty good experience with the Kringle wax melts, especially since their reformulation of those. So yeah, anyway, I guess maybe I'll give this one a thumbs up. I always like to, you know, let you guys know whether I give it 2 thumbs up, no thumbs up, you know, maybe 1 thumb. Maybe we'll do like a half a thumbs up here. So I like the cranberry, I like the apple, but there's other parts that I don't like. There's no burn issues, so, you know, that definitely is a bonus for me, but hopefully this was helpful. Let me know if you picked this candle up and what your experience has been with it thus far. I'm not sure that I am going to keep burning this one myself because it doesn't really rock my world. I may go ahead and just pass this one along to one of my friends. Typically, if I receive a candle in PR that doesn't really float my boat, after I review it, I will put it in a little pile off to the side, and when my friends come over to visit, they are welcome to sniff through that and take away anything that they are interested in. So I have a feeling this one might end up in the friend pile. And yeah, anyway, I appreciate you guys being here. Let me know if you have any questions at all. If you want to read up more about this one, check out the description box. I appreciate you being here. You'll see another in-depth review here in a few hours. And yeah, thanks a lot. Toodaloo.